Hello and welcome to How To Tuesday number 17 with Zack Smith Photography, healing, cloning, and cleaning your photographs. This is the first in a series of video tutorials where I will take you behind the scenes on a few of my favorite photographs and bring them into one of the Creative Suite applications. I'm going to show you a little bit about Photoshop today since it's having to do with kind of the end of the photograph editing right before you're going to send it to a client, website, or get it ready for print. And keeping with the festival theme we have going, since Mardi Gras is over, we're entering into festival season in New Orleans, and we're going to go ahead and clean up some of my favorite festival photographs. And yeah, I hope you'll either follow along or watch and watch again. So we're going to go over to How To Tuesday. I'm going to bring these photographs into, I just double clicked on these images right here so I can bring them into the Adobe Photoshop Creative Suite app. And they're all going to pop up right here in succession. So each one of these photographs present us a particular problem in getting our images the best that they can look. Anytime we're composing out there in the real world, we're trying to compose, set an aperture and shutter speed, pick the right lens in order to get the best shot possible. But sometimes we can't finish out that task by just pressing the shutter. We've got to adjust the color balance, white balance, cropping, and sometimes taking out little things that kind of don't belong there. So this first image I want to look at right here is from Jazz Fest, and you could probably look at it and say, hey, Zach, there's nothing wrong with it, but you know what? This is bothering me right here. It's the microphone, and any of you festival shooters know the problem with the microphone. Well, that's an easy one. We could either go over here right to the Spot Healing Brush tool, select Content Aware, sample all layers, and get to work. If we would like to do our non-destructive editing, what we can do over here is create a new layer. And I'm down here in this area. Unlock the background and only work on the top layer. Sample all layers allows you to be able to edit on one layer, and Photoshop combines those layers for you. So I'm going to press the right parentheses, or it's the right block button on my keypad to enlarge this right here. We can also enlarge it right up here as well, but the quick key is just a little bit easier. I can Command plus, whoops, to make this larger. Hold down my Shift button and I get that little hand so I can see what I'm doing right here. So let's just try it right here. So that was a really quick edit right there where I just drug the spot healing brush, or the spot healing brush right over that microphone, and it was gone. Now I can do a couple of other touch-ups and see what happens, but maybe using the cloning stamp, still using that quick key, might do me a little bit better. And by pressing the Alt or the Option button, I can bring over textures that are very similar. Wow, look at that. So what I've done was I've taken out the microphone and I've added different layers of background that are in there. The eye doesn't go to it as much as it used to, and look, I always have this in my history tool. I can press Apple Z or Command Z to get back to the beginning, or I can just unclick that layer and see exactly what I did. I never really did anything to the original image. I just did something to the layer above it. So if I'm done with this image right here, I can just do a quick Shift Command S, save as. Let's save as a JPEG. What I might do here is save it in my, let's call it the Ready for Prime Time. Ready for prime time basically means you're ready for a website, blog, Facebook, or print. Let's go to the next one. We're not going to save that because that would be besides the point, right? So this is another image from a festival. Sometimes we want to get away from the stages and the craziness and go focus on the interesting festival goers that were milling around the festival. And I found these two cute girls hanging out on the side of the road, and they had the same shirt on. They looked great, and they also posed for a picture. So if we want to make our photographs and make our people look the best that they can be, why not touch them up a little bit? I think it's a nice thing to do. So let's go over here, unclick our background, add our layer, work on our top layer so we're not working on our original bottom layer. So I'm going to go up to these girls right here, excuse me, and use the spot healing brush, make it really small, and clean up a few things that I see here. I saw this earlier, and we can easily get this away with the, where is it again? The clone stamp. Very easy and done. Clean up that chin. Everybody's happy. Cool thing about this is you can go back and forth between each of these tools and make sure you're picking the right one for the job. You can always decrease the opacity of the clone stamp if you don't want to have a very harsh effect. So let's say we were to clone this over here. You don't notice it as much because I have it at 33%, because maybe we just want to even out the forehead a little bit and not really make a drastic change. So for instance, if I were to bring over this darkness over here to this little highlight, you notice it gets darker, but it doesn't quite go away unless we bring the opacity up, select, and go fully over it. Now, I don't want to get rid of that guy because I kind of like it. Now, much better. So I'm just going to quickly close out of this and not save so we can go on to the next image. Each image is going to present its own different problem for you. And the question is, when do you stop editing the photograph? When is the photograph done? Well, that really is a question for you and only you to answer. Think about what that photograph would look like on the wall. When you're looking at it on your computer, think about where your eye goes. The eye naturally gravitates towards areas of highlight. So are your highlights towards the middle of the image? Are the highlights drawing the eye to the action or the attention? So think about those things when you're looking at your images. This image right here, taken of a couple dancing at French Quarter Fest. It had just rained, and I got some great reflections out of the water puddles that were forming. Two of these dancers decided not to stop, so they kept going. When I look at this image, the perfectionist in me wants it to be a little cleaner. Like, for instance, I'm looking at these little cracks in the pavement. Now, this is nothing that I could have foreseen because I was really focusing on the dancers. I was trying to get them in a motion where it showed that they were dancing. Now, this is my favorite one of the series, but a lot of the other photographs are out of focus. They're dancing in a way you can't see that they're partner dancing. They may be too close together. This one, they actually pulled apart for a second, held hands, and it was a beautiful shot, but I wasn't noticing stuff like this crack and whatnot. So we can easily take care of that. Uncheck that, add our layer, make our healing tool a little bit large. Look at that. I mean, come on. This is one of my favorite Photoshop tools right here. Now, if you really wanted to get crazy, you could take away all of these lines right here and make that whole area a little bit smoother. All those jagged lines and intersecting lines right there really do make the eye work. They make you want to go find those lines. So the more we can get these out of the shot, the better. We may want to switch over to the cloning stamp, increase our tool here, option click, and finish. You notice how I took that white corner away. As I said, the human eye naturally gravitates towards areas of highlight. So anytime our highlights are in the corner, the eye will want to go up there. So I'm looking at this shot right here. Maybe I might take a few of these out right here, but I think this guy's almost done. So yeah, let's save it. I'm going to save this as a JPEG, ready for prime time. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, this is an image that you may recognize from the How To Tuesday number 17 newsletter post, and it's also my screenshot right now. This is an image of the wonderful New Orleans band Sweet Crude. You can catch them all over town. They're a great group of musicians and people to boot. This was a shot I had of them looking out from the stage at French Quarter Fest just last year, where the timing of my shutter, the Natchez was blowing its steam and the band was raising their hands. It was one of those magical moments, and it really is all about the timing of this shot right here. I didn't have a moment to spare to think about my composition, so there's a lot of things in there that I don't want. So for instance, I could do without this, let's see, that's an energy pole back there, but I do like the kind of French Quarter, New Orleans street lamps right here. So, geez, how do I get that out? Well, one guess. Let's find out what the spot healing brush will do. So let's uncheck this. Whoops. Let's uncheck this, add a new layer, start to work on that layer. We can probably start to work on the top of this guy and not, whoops, sometimes you press things you don't want to, and not get into, see how I'm making this adjustment smaller as I go down? Well, okay, so we're almost there. So the thing that the spot healing brush does is it samples areas around your circle here, and it kind of averages those colors and pixels to it. So you notice as I got closer to these lampposts, my adjustment started getting a little darker. So we can go back to where we finished with a good section here by pressing Command Z and switch over to the clone stamp. Make sure we're at opacity 100, sample all layers, sample this layer, and go all the way down. I mean, like clockwork. We could even go here, because you notice that the light post does go way up there. You know, and looking at it from back here, can't even tell that it was ever even in there. Now, clone stamp can not only take things away, but it can add. I really do like this smokestack right here, and I want a little bit more. So why not add a little bit more of this smokestack? Make it a little bit bigger, you know? Now, there are some philosophical choices that you can make right here. You know, you're adding something there that wasn't there before, but, you know, I'm not really adding too much of a non-truth. This is just a bigger piece of what was there before. So we can save that, ready for prime time, JPEG, save, and we're done. Let's go to the last shot here. And we've got a back shot of the Creole Nation, Mardi Gras Indians from Jazz Fest, and I bet you can guess what we want to take out right here. I'm just going to take out these flags right here in the corner. Now, if you know Jazz Fest, you know those flags in the background. That is a great meeting place. It's probably the highest point of Jazz Fest, being on that hill with the flags, but if you don't want it in there, you don't need it in there. Uncheck that, new layer at the bottom, drag that healing brush all the way up. That was an easy one, right? Very, very easy. Now, with the clone stamp right here. I can add some things if I wanted to, or take away some things. Really is up to you. This image pretty much looks good to me. I might take away something like that. That feather was bothering me. I don't want to alter this too much. I just want to get it ready for prime time. So let's save that again. Apple Save, JPEG. So you notice I'm not doing too much to my images. I'm trying to get them in a good working order as raw files in the Lightroom or Photoshop develop areas. And right here, I'm just adding a few little touches. So we're going to close out of this, and want to remind you, if you haven't signed up for the if you haven't signed up for the newsletter yet, you can just go to the website right here, zacksmith.com. Right in this box to the bottom right, join the newsletter. You can put in your name, email address, and you'll automatically be added to the newsletter. It comes out every Tuesday morning with helpful tips like How To Tuesday, featured galleries, and also new pop-up workshops like one I want to tell you about right now since you've stayed this long. If we go, well, we don't have to do that. We can go right here. Go to Digital SLR. This is a brand new workshop I just offered last night, Saturday, February 27th, Digital SLR Photography Workshop. It's a one-day photography workshop which will teach you all about your digital SLR camera or mirrorless camera, calling it the fundamentals of digital photography, setting yourself up for success. We'll teach you all about ISO, autofocus, metering, exposure compensation, aperture, lenses, all of this. 9 to 3, February 27th. That's 2 Saturdays from now. You can easily add to cart. It's only $100, or add to cart right here. So until next time, sign up for the newsletter. Check me out on Instagram here, Twitter, Facebook, Google+, and YouTube. Or just send me an email. All right. Thank you for sticking around. Don't save. And I'll see you next week.